Hello again, math students. We're going to spend one more day reviewing all the different transformations that we've done. You don't actually have anything left in your note packet to learn, but you can absolutely use your note packet as we're doing these different problems. The first problem is a translation. It says to translate it, and it gives me translation notation, which is telling me, this part says that for the x's, I'm going to be moving 4 to the right because I'm adding, the numbers are getting bigger, I'm going to the right. For the y's, I'm subtracting, which means it's moving down 4 units. So each of these points should move 4 to the right and 4 down. So if I just go alphabetically here, point A, I would move 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. I know you can't see me actually moving, but hopefully this makes sense. And now that's a prime. B, moving 1, 2, 3, 4 to the right and down 4. There's my translated point B. Point C, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Still a horizontal segment with point B prime, which is good. And then D, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, also lined up with point A prime, which is what we were hoping for. Because it's a translation, these should be congruent shapes, and they are. This time, I've got a reflection, but I'm not just telling you which axis to reflect over. Instead, I'm giving you the rule. So this is saying that the x's are going to change signs. So if you think about that, if the x's are changing signs, that means that it's moving left and right, because that's what x's do. So if it's moving left and right, that means that I'm reflecting over the y-axis. So if I would just take each of these points, so point E, for instance, is to the left of the y-axis by 2 units, so I'd move to the right 2 units. Point D is 6 units to the left, so I would go 6 units to the right, and that would be right there. And then point F is 1 to the right, so it's going to move 1 to the left. I know that sometimes when we get the overlapping shapes, that can get a little bit more confusing, but I think it looks kind of cool. If I want to graph a 90-degree clockwise rotation, again, if you want to use your notes from the pink sheet to rotate 90 degrees clockwise, that's going to change the sign of the X and then change the order. Or we can do this with our paper turning thing. So if I look at those original shapes and I turn this 90 degrees clockwise, it's going to look like this. Okay, now I'm going to move that over and just graph these new points. So G, our new G is going to be at 1, 2, -5, 4. I like it when they've got the grids all labeled for me. So that's going to be G prime. J, now either you could look at this and say, well, J is 3 units to the left of G, that would be fine. Or my point is at -8, 4. And then I is going to be at -8, -2. And H prime is going to be at -5, -2. So I know I've covered up the hint that I had there, but that rule was change the sign of the X and then change the order. For this problem, I want a dilation, which means it's going to change the size. The scale factor is 1/2, which means it'll be a reduction. It's going to get smaller. Every ordered pair, the x's and the y's, are going to be multiplied by 1/2 or divided by 2. So we already know this is going to be a reduction. It's getting smaller. Point J is at 2, 4. If I multiply each of those by 1/2 or divide them by 2, I would be at 1, 2. So here's J prime. For K, right now it's at 2, 6. When I multiply by half, that would be at 1, 3, which is going to be right here, K prime. M is at 8, 6. So cutting both of those in half, I get 4, 3. And then N is at 8, 2. Cut them both in half and I'll get 4, 1. So here is my new image, similar to the first one, but not congruent. And then remember, the check for this is we should be able to go from the origin through the corresponding points. Oh, missed my M a little bit. Okay, but you can see that that does help to make sure that everything is graphed correctly. And for this last one, I want to identify the transformation, clearly different sizes. I think that we've already looked at this exact same problem before, but this is going to be a dilation. And since it's getting smaller for the primes, that's going to be a reduction. So the scale factor, by the way, I'm okay with writing SF for scale factor, or we did look at this, we said that the scale factor, they actually use the letter K for that usually, but there's other letters that we use. Here's what we did before. We said, so A prime, B prime is 2 units long. So that'd be 2 in the top for the new, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 2 over 6, that's going to be 1/3. And again, that means that they are going to be similar. Your practice problems for today, your worksheet for today is a review transformations worksheet. It's all of the stuff that we've been working on, lots of different stuff, but remember the answer key is going to be in Schoology, so if you get stuck on anything, you can absolutely take a look at that. So if you need any help, let me know.